This article reveals everything wrong with this player as he has had his worst slugging season of the year, and these small changes could fix everything. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest with your host, Andrew. Today we are discussing everyone's favorite topic, Tatis Jr. I've made a lot of videos about him, and I saw this article that not really defends him, but explains the reasons behind why his slug might be down this year. So I thought we could explore it. As always, please subscribe because we got plenty of videos coming out. Like I said today, I work tonight and the game is tonight, so no game recap till tomorrow morning. So sorry, but I work. So I thought I'd make this for you guys today, so at least you don't miss a whole day without me, because I know how much you guys miss when I don't post. Said nobody literally ever. So Arraez and Dennis Lin, they had an article. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s power is missing, even when compared to post-suspension levels. He hasn't hit a homer in 106 plate appearances, and it's more now. His contact point may be to blame with. So, I thought I could just read you the article. So let's start first, before we get into the article. I saw a thread about one reason why Tatis's hitting may not be as good as it was last year and all years before that. So I thought we'd go through that first. So a lot of people are wondering why Fernando Tatis Jr., although still highly effective, is not launching bombs and hitting a lot of ground balls. Take a look at his swing here in spring training of his rookie season and compare what happened to the rest of the thread. I don't have the videos, sorry, but basically he smacked the hell out of it. Is what happened if you were curious. First left shoulder subluxation. Notice date. This was in 2021, but this is when he left the game holding his left forearm after hurting himself on a swing. He swung really hard, then he went down, and that's when he had his first really big injury. Again, I can link the thread for you if you want to see it. I know I keep saying that, and I keep forgetting to do the thread link, but I'll post it this time for sure. And if I don't, comment and I'll post it for you. But three, there's another incident between the last one and this one, here is the shoulder subluxation that led to off-season labrum surgery after the 21 season. Again, notice the date. Okay, I forgot what the date was. I'm gonna bring it up right now, actually. Also, I hope I'm saying subluxation correctly. If not, please yell at me. Okay, so the first one that I said the date was April 5th, 2021, and then this one was July 30th, also 2021. So pretty close together in time frames, I would say. And then Tatis started this season crushing baseballs, and then this happened in Sacramento against the A's. That was on April 8th. But this is when he swung really hard, and then he kind of hurt his shoulder again because his shoulder has been a nagging problem. But then, surprisingly, he didn't miss any time. But the swing is less violent with less of a lead arm extension these days. I believe him and the staff changed things to protect the surgically repaired labrum. Anyway, just my 2 cents. Uh, and then this is a reaction to what they said. Oh, did I not post it? I thought I did. Oh god. Okay. Look at me being disorganized. Hold on. I'll find it right now. Uh, so he said he's been hitting. Oh, sorry. Here we go. He and the staff don't want to talk about it, but the majority of the stance swing path tinkering came during the weeks after the most recent tweak of his surgically repaired shoulder. He was crushing balls prior. So that's what this guy said. Nicky G. Shout out Nicky G, USA. And then the guy who wrote the article we're about to read said this. He's been hitting the ball hard all year, though, just not lifting it. I'm pretty sure injury could be a part of the picture, but not one we will ever get 100% insight into. So, now that I've established that injury is a big reason, let's talk fundamentals, mechanics. I'll try my best to explain everything, but if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to explain it. But I took the article, I ran it through my best friend ChatGPT to make it more easy to understand. I put some bullet points and all that. I've done it before. You know the routine. But first, let's look at his Savant page. I forgot how to speak English. So 2021, as you can see, was when he hit 42 home runs, and then this year is obviously this year. But to be honest, as you can see, his stats are not bad this year. And we've established that he is like a top 5 WAR player in the league. but his value is still great, his base running is still great, and his fielding is still the best in the league. Like he's about outs above average in the outfield. He's like top 5 in right field. He's number 1 in the league. But yeah, everything looks great. The only thing that's not as good as it was is the sweet spot. And that's the real big thing we're going to talk about, is that he's not hitting the sweet spot. The launch angle sweet spot is what LA stands for. But yeah, the big thing too, though, as we've established all year, is that he doesn't strike out as much and he walks a lot more. So, and doesn't swing at horrible pitches or chase really bad balls, as you can see from the differences. So that's the really big things that have changed for the better, in my opinion, but also it could hurt his slug. Again, I know I keep saying it. We'll talk about it right now. So Padres power struggles. Padres sit 25th in the MLB in slugging, which shows how much they're lacking power. Their strong contact skills have kept the numbers from looking even worse. To truly compete, they need to be more consistent home run production in the lineup, which we've seen all year. We're currently like 29th, I think, in team home runs, which is insane to me for me to think, because like I guess I've just never seen such a horrible slug team before in my life. Like I feel like Padres are not like top of the list, but they're always like at least like midway maybe. But yeah, when you think about it and you watch the games, like we've barely hit home runs, and it sucks. But I mean, we're winning games, so it's not that bad, but it's not great, right? We just score runs differently than a lot of teams. Like the Yankees, they hit home runs. We have power of friendship. Let's put it that way. We have the power of friendship. With Tatis Jr.'s season, Tatis is contributing in all areas, but is having his worst slugging season yet. He's currently on a career worst streak of 106 plate appearances without a homer. Now more. I think it's like 110 now, I think, something like that. While his contact and strikeout rates are the best of his career, the power has vanished. And again, you can see that on these stats right here. Moving on, though. Underlying metrics. Tatis still ranks 15th in hard hit rate, proving the swing speed is still there. The problem is that his hardest contact is happening too deep in the zone. Too deep in the zone means he's hitting the ball later, closer to the catcher, which kills loft and power. And the deeper contact is turning would-be homers into line drives and grounders. So I do have a picture included that will kind of show you that. I just gotta remember what it is. Hello, Tatis Jr. Is it this one? No, this one. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, 2024, the year on the left, 2025, the year on the right. So it kind of sees how his stance has changed. It's slight, right? It's very small, but when it's faded out, that's where his foot is at pitch release, and it's a little bit different than how it is. I'm using my mouse to show you. You can't see my mouse, but just bear with me a little bit. But yeah, you can see the stance is a little bit different, not crazy different, and I'll get into the angles in a bit. But I do want to just show you that. So in 2024, Tatis stood more squared with contact further out, 30.3 inches. But in 2025, he's deeper in the box and letting pitches travel closer, 29.1 inches, which cuts into power. And again, that in a second. But that was this. So swing mechanics and attack angle. Power swings usually happen about 36 inches in front of the body, while pure contact happens closer at 30 inches. In August, Tatis averaged just 27.6 inches, the lowest intercept point of his career. This change explains why he's putting more balls in the play, but fewer over the fence. And again, see that on here. I'll let you look at it for a second if you want to pause. But I don't want to bore you, so let's move on. So now, stance and adjustments. Tatis has experimented with a wider, more open stance and moved closer to the plate. These changes have him letting the ball travel about 4 inches deeper into the zone than last year. So it's going 4 inches closer to the catcher. You could also think of it like 4 inches past, but I don't think 4 inches past is a correct way to say it. But if you want to, you can say it like that. He recently adjusted his stance from 41 degrees open to just 10 degrees closer to his old form, meaning he's now standing more square to the pitcher instead of angled open. And again, I'll show you this. So yeah, again, if you want to pause it. But those pictures or those stats line up with what we saw on that picture. Moving on to comparison and data. Oh, actually, hold on. I did want to show you this real quick. The other picture. Let it travel, intercept, slugging, ideal, attack angle. So hitters who make contact earlier, go get it. Slug 449. And while those who let it travel, also apply. Those who let it travel, slug 424. Earlier contact equals more power. So those are swing comparisons separated. I know number wise, this is again complicated. I know this video is more for the average but more knowledgeable players. But again, if you have any questions, please let me know. But basically, if they're going to get it, they hit better, and if they let it travel, they're hitting not as good, but it's still a like 20-point difference, right? So again, moving on. If you want to look at that more, feel free to pause. Did I do your one yet? No, I didn't. Did we? No, I didn't. Okay, no, I didn't. So Tatis' bat speed is 73 miles per hour, and swing tilt, which is the upward angle of the bat through the zone, is at 30 degrees. It puts him in line with hitters like Bobby Witt Jr. and Christian Walker. Bobby Witt Jr., I don't know how he's doing this year, but he was the runner up in MVP voting last year, or did I say voting? MVP voting for last year. And then Christian Walker, as you remember from the Diamondbacks, players who let the ball travel slug around 424, and those who attack earlier, I can't read. While those who attack earlier slug 449, and again, you saw that on this thing right here. So, that's a 25-point difference in slugging, despite nearly identical swings, which is why, because when you think about it though, right, pitchers now are throwing like 95 miles per hour plus. If you blink, you miss a pitch. Like if you blink, you'll miss a fastball, pretty much, right? That's why even the tiniest things can make a huge difference, which is what we're seeing right now. But baseball is such like a nanosecond sport that everything happens so quickly that the smallest things can make a huge difference. Like just think swinging a bat, right? If you hit that sweet spot, which is like a small margin, you can launch the ball out of there. But if you're just slightly under the sweet spot, that's a fly out. If you're slightly over the sweet spot, that's a ground out. That's a gross oversimplification. But again, that's my point being is that it's a game of nanoseconds, nano inches. Small things make huge differences. Remember, in baseball, size does matter. Okay? But moving on. Which one's this one? There we go. I wish I labeled these better. That's okay, though. But coaching perspective. Hitting coach Victor Rodriguez stresses patience and approach over chasing home runs. He warns that trying too hard to pull power often leads to bad mechanics. The real key is controlled aggression, letting natural bat speed do the work. Which I get. Like, obviously, contact is a good thing. Like, you want to make contact with the ball. But it seems that approach is hurting this team's slug overall. But I feel like our averages have been better. I mean, Manny Machado is having one of his better average years. Luis Arraez, I think he just does his own thing, so I don't think he counts for this. But like Bogaerts is having a better average season, I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, he's had pretty bad years, so it's not like that high of a bench. But to improve what he's been doing is already a win. You know what I mean? But yeah, you might look at this and be like, he sucks, we want slug. And that's a fine opinion. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I still am team Victor Rodriguez. I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's amazing, but I'm not saying he's doing horrible, is what I'm trying to say. But yes, the path forward for Tatis. Tatis's deeper contact has made him a high contact hitter, but stripped away power. Even moving his contact point 3 inches forward could bring back the long ball. That adjustment might mean more strikeouts, but the reward is more slugging. The challenge will be finding a balance where he attacks earlier without losing form. So, yeah. Again, just look at the image. This one. Look at the images. Again, if you want to pause, look at it. But just small, tiny, like you could look, like if you look just at the footprints, you're probably like, literally nothing has changed. But again, there's small, tiny little changes that have affected a lot of things. Just Baseball. What you got to know about this? Baseball. Baseball's crazy. Baseball's complicated. But then just a couple more things. Just a long reaction to this. Uh, I guess I can read it off here. I'm sure it's a little small. It was really long. But this article talks about how Tatis letting the ball travel more could be hurting his power, and embracing more swings and misses in a trade-off or aggression could unlock some more power. There's definitely merit to this. Lost my place. There we go. It could also be applied to the entire team and their approach. I know Petco Park hitting gets the misconception that it's just about not striking out, but it's also hitting line drives. Team was great at both last year, but this year they've fallen down a bit with the line drives. You can factor some of that to having some of the worst bottom of the order and bench in the league. But let's get back to the approach. It's fair to question if it's optimal. Is Vic and crew preaching taking chances in count leverage enough? They have lowest swing percentage when ahead in the counts, and they are preaching the best batted ball type, which is pooled fly balls. They are bottom 3 in pool air percentage. So the way he's like preaching Victor Rodriguez, like I said, could be hurting, could be improving the team, but there's definitely a noticeable change. So it's fair to question if it's optimal, his change. So again, I guess it's debatable is the way to say it. So they have the worst meatball swing percentage in the league, while also being one of the top chase percentages. Meatball, like straight down the middle, right? And we've seen Tatis not being able to hit balls straight down the middle as well as he has been. Where was I? While also not hitting many barrels percentage is not optimal combination. It makes sense why they don't slug much. So barrel percentage, barreling up the ball, they are very low in. I think they're like 28th in the league in barrel percentage. It makes sense why they don't slug much. Again, the more fair assessment would be after the trade deadline, which they are 10th in weighted runs created plus. But the underlying stuff isn't eye-popping. I think optimal strategy is what they're doing now, but only in 2-strike counts. When you have count leverage, let it loose. This is tough to implement late in the season, though. So basically what he's saying is what Victor Rodriguez is preaching about contact is something they should only really try doing once they have 2 strikes. Because, you know, when they say you have 2 strikes, you have to protect the plate, which is, again, opening up like the stance and then letting it go, letting the contact hit. But he's saying that in the first pitch, maybe the second pitch, when the team's not as aggressive as they could be, they could try switching to a more power-heavy swing to really up that slug. Again, it's something that you would probably try to implement more earlier in the season. We are almost in September. So is that something they can do? I don't know. Right? I think this is just a long-winded way to say, yeah, maybe letting the ball travel is a reason Tatis's power is down. Ideally, you want him to let loose when he has count leverage on what? English. He has when he has count leverage or on first pitches. But I talked about yesterday, I think a lot of the power outage issues are also mentally related. The constant tinkering with setups and leg kick or no leg kicks is a clear sign of someone searching. He looks almost robotic in his mechanics. He's the ultimate feel player, so when he's constantly searching, of course, he's not going to be right. My theory is he needs to move to a power hitting position like cleanup to unlock his mindset again. So basically, he's saying that batting first isn't unlocking his true potential because he wants to get on base as a job of the first batter in the lineup is to get on base so he can score, which he is doing, right? He is doing. But if you move him down to 4, your job is to clean up, which means if the people are on base, you hit them home. And how do you do that best? Hitting a home run. Hitting a home run is a guaranteed way to score a runner, which it sounds really stupid, but it's true. If you hit a home run, you're guaranteed to score at least one runner. So, yeah. Very bottom. Complicated topic, though. I just want to see more power apply and better plate discipline from the team. Tatis has the best plate discipline on the team. If he pairs that with more power, he's a top 5 hitter. That's a lot. I know. This whole video has been an absolute cluster of things to digest. Padres Digest media. So, like I said, please ask me any questions. I am here for y'all. But To summarize, basically, Tatis has been changing things under the supervision of Victor Rodriguez, and it could be a factor that him batting first has led to a different mindset and approach, but also to kind of like put a reasoning to it. It could also be the injuries he sustained to his shoulder, the forearm from when he got hit by a pitch. So there's a lot of factors that have changed Tatis Jr. this year. But like I said in the last video we kind of did about Tatis, these small changes have helped him grow as a player. And I think over the offseason, or maybe the rest of the year, depends on how his work ethic is. But I think those changes could develop him into a patient, like a Juan Soto type. Not as like patient as Juan Soto, but a Juan Soto type with maybe more power than Juan Soto has. I know, again, super complicated. I'm so sorry. And again, super long video. Super sorry. But there's a lot of things that go on in baseball that are like super nuanced, but they have big changes, like I keep saying. So yeah, let me know how you guys feel. Do you think Tatis is how about this? Do you think Tatis needs to change anything? Do you think it's his lineup placement? Do you think it's his stance? Do you think it's his launch angle? What do you think he needs to change? And by launch angle, I mean swing, sorry. But yeah, do you want Victor Rodriguez fired? Do you like his approach? Or do you think he is a good hitting coach? A lot of questions that need to be answered. So let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully we win today. If not, I will cry. And go Padres. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Goodbye.